Welcome back to Quick Movie Recap. Today, I am going to explain the movie Non-Stop released in the year 2014. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. As the movie starts, we see a depressed man named Bill Marks. Bill is an air marshal who is going through a hard time, following the death of his daughter Olivia, who succumbed to cancer. To relive from the pain, Bill has turned to alcohol even while he is working. As he stops for a cigarette, a man named Tom comes over and asks to borrow his lighter, then attempts to make small talk asking where he is headed. Bill doesn't answer, but Tom proceeds to say that he is headed for Amsterdam. Bill continuously looks around trying to ensure the safety of everyone on the flight. Soon after, we see Bill in the restroom where he meets a fellow air marshal named Jack Hammond. He later sees a kid named Becca, who is traveling alone, and notices that she accidentally left her doll behind. Becca is escorted to the plane where she meets a friendly flight attendant named Nancy. Becca is hesitant to board, but when Bill turns up with her doll, she's happy and gladly boards the plane. The passengers gets on the plane and a guy named Zach sits next to Bill. A lady named Jen approaches Zach and asks him to swap seats with her so she can sit next to the window, and he agrees. Nancy is glad to see her fellow flight attendant Gwen on board, as this will lighten her workload. Captain David and Kyle Rice carry out the cross-checks. Bill receives calls from his bosses and assures them that everything is fine so far. As a marshal, Bill must hide his identity and act as a regular passenger to avoid raising any alarm. Bill pretends to have a fear of flying and binds a ribbon to his hand that his daughter had given him. After a bumpy takeoff, the plane stabilizes and Jen asks about Bill's daughter, which he lies about, saying she is 17. When Bill asks about her job, she deflects the question, saying she needs some sleep. The plane is now high above the clouds and Bill heads to the restroom for a cigarette. When he gets back to his seat, Bill receives a text message from an unknown number identifying himself as one of the passengers aboard the plane. The person comments on his smoking in the bathroom, and Bill looks around to identify who the person is but doesn't see any suspicious activity. He stands up to get a wider view while Jen is seen peeping at him. He then moves on to the next cabin but still doesn't find anything suspicious. The mystery passenger tells Bill to set his timer for 20 minutes, saying that when the timer runs out they will kill someone on the plane. He tries again to see the person but still can't. The person then proceeds to ask for $150 million and sends him the account number. Bill moves past Jack, signaling they need to meet, and a guy named Riley seems really focused as Jack follows Bill. Bill thinks Jack sent the messages and tells him to knock it off, but Jack denies it with him and offers Bill his phone to check. Bill explains everything to him, but Jack isn't convinced that someone can kill a person and get away with it on a plane. Bill then asks him to watch the main cabin as he heads for the cockpit to alert the captain on the issue. The captain says that they are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which means emergency landing is not an option. He asks the captain to have the account number tracked and to switch off the network to prevent the hijacker from checking if the transfer has been made. Since the plane has CCTV cameras, he decides to check them with Nancy, but later calls for Jen's help too since there are a lot of cameras. He gives them pen and asks them to mark off people using their phones while he tries to get the hijacker to text him again as he texts with the mystery person. Nancy and Jen mark off several people using their phones. Not long after, Bill receives a call from a guy on the ground named Marinik from the TSA, the company Bill works for. Meanwhile, Jen notices that Jack has been using his phone continuously, but Bill brushes it off, saying it couldn't be him. Marinik overhears this and suggests jumping to conclusion is not wise in this situation. The hijacker proceeds to ask about Bill's daughter, making him doubt Jack's innocence. Jack is then seen moving from his seat, so Bill follows him into the restroom. When Bill confronts him, he replies that he needed the money. Jack then starts a fight and manages to soak his phone to destroy the evidence. Jack then reaches for a gun, leaving Bill with no option but to kill him. He picks up Jack's phone and locks the restroom from the outside. Bill is hit by a massive twist when he receives a text from the hijacker congratulating him for making the first kill. He then asks him to reset his timer as another passenger will die in the next 20 minutes, unless the money is received. He heads for the cockpit, but to his disbelief the captain informs him that the account number the hijacker provided is Bill's himself. Meanwhile, Jen is seen eavesdropping on their conversation. The captain asks if anything has happened in 20 minutes, but Bill fails to disclose that he had killed Jack. The TSA has ordered the confiscation of Bill's badge and gun, leaving the captain no option but to take them away from Bill. Jen helps Bill fix Jack's phone and they discover that the person had kept Jack occupied to frame him. The person also mentioned a briefcase that was in Jack's possession, which Bill fetches. He finds the key in Jack's pocket and opens it. In it he finds cocaine, which explains Jack's plea for mercy as he needs money. He had thought Bill had found his cocaine. Nancy then calls out for Jack, forcing Bill to reveal that Jack is dead. This terrifies her, but Bill manages to calm her down. Using Jack's badge, Bill sets up a random search of selected people to try and find the hijacker as time is passing quickly. Bill proceeds to search several individuals including Jen and asks her to keep watch. He does a thorough search on Fahim, who turns out to be a medical doctor. He then moves on to Charles, who is an attorney, and later to Riley, who introduces himself as a cop. Not long after he receives a text from the hijacker asking him to stop playing games. He then spots Tom, who he had run into while smoking before the flight, and it stated he was headed for Amsterdam. Bill grabs him and drags him into the aisle. Just then Bill receives a call from Marinik, who relieves some of his duty and confirms Tom's identity as a schoolteacher. Bill is not convinced, however, and proceeds to interrogate Tom, who discloses that he was paid to ask Bill's destination. Bill drags him around, telling him to identify who paid him. Tom spots a man in glasses and Bill drags him over as they stumble on other passengers as they pass. Unfortunately, although he looks similar, it's not him, and Bill proceeds to bind Tom. Checking his watch, Bill realizes there are only 49 seconds left until the next death. He draws his gun and remains alert, however. He then receives a text stating that the death doesn't have to be a passenger. Bill moves towards Nancy, but the plane is hit by turbulence, making him fall. Later he finds Nancy and they head to the cockpit, where they find the captain, convulsing as Kyle tries to hold him up. Bill rushes to fetch Dr. Fahim, who isn't much help other than suggesting it could be a poisoning. Bill resets his watch and asks Kyle to keep the cockpit door locked until the plane lands. Later Jen introduces Zach to Bill, stating that he is a programmer. Zach says it's possible to locate the phone by sending a virus attached to a picture, forcing his phone's ringer to be taken off silent. Bill leaves him his phone to work on it, urging that time is ticking. Not long after, Bill announces he is closing the business cabin to keep everyone in one place. They complain, but he manages to calm them by offering fictitious free travel if they obey. Zach finishes and hands Bill his phone back. Bill then asks everyone to keep their hands up as he sends the picture. He listens carefully with his gun drawn and hears a ring. He tracks a phone to Charles and picks him up despite him denying that it's his phone. Bill brutally interrogates him, but Charles doesn't seem to know anything about the situation. Suddenly, Charles begins convulsing and dies just like the captain. Back in the cabin, Riley forms a group to attack Bill, after the doctor revealed the deaths of the captain and Charles. Bill is then seen in the restroom smoking once again, but this time he notices a hole that leads directly to the cockpit. On checking the sink, he finds a small pipe that could have been used to administer the poison by blowing through it. He goes ahead to check Charles's body and finds an embedded dosage pin. Bill then goes to question a lady who had used the restroom earlier, who reveals that Jen used it after her. Bill interrogates Jen, asking why she sat beside him and kept close to him. Jen finally discloses that she has a terminal heart illness which doctors say may kill her at any time. She just wanted the window seat so she could have a nice view, prompting Bill to apologize. Since Bill has the hijacker's phone, Jen tries to guess the password, but things escalate quickly as this activates a bomb. Meanwhile, Bill is all over the news, being mentioned as the hijacker. Luckily, Bill connects the dots and realizes the only way the bomb could enter the plane is through Jack, as no searches are conducted on Marshals. He races for the briefcase and finds a bomb underneath the cocaine, but as he leaves he is attacked and overwhelmed by Riley's group. They try to strangle him, but he informs them about the bomb on the plane. Moments later, Tom rushes to his rescue as he points Bill's gun at them, prompting them to set him free. Bill explains everything and Tom offers his gun back. Later, 2 fighter jets appear to escort the plane. They instruct the co-pilot Kyle to maintain his course until they land. Bill heads to the cockpit and asks Kyle to get the plane down to 8,000 feet to minimize the impact of the bomb if it goes off. Bill places the bomb on the table, explaining it's a pressure bomb that cannot be defused without exploding it. With no other choice, Bill puts the bomb at the rear door and tells the passengers to cover it with heavy luggage to minimize the impact. Soon after, Bill returns to Kyle and tells him to start the descent in exactly 3 minutes to avoid complications. Meanwhile, Becca is terrified and tries to hide. Gwen tries to convince her to come out, but to no avail. Bill then offers her his ribbon, which she accepts, and he leads her to Jen. Soon after, Marinette calls Bill confirming the payment has been transferred, and Bill puts him on the loudspeaker for the hijacker to hear. However, Marinette still thinks Bill is the one orchestrating all of this. He then mentions a video spreading online showing Bill dragging Tom around, which had been uploaded by one of the passengers. Bill spots the person who posted the video and picks up his phone. This makes Tom nervous. In the video, Bill notices Tom placing the phone in Charles's pocket as he ran into him earlier. Tom then reaches for Riley's gun, holding him hostage, and tries shooting him, but luckily the gun is not loaded. Riley manages to hit Tom and grabs the gun as Bill directs him to his seat to fetch the ammo. He searches for it, but Zach already has it and they break into a fight. Zach manages to get the gun loaded and shoot Riley. The shot distracts Bill, giving Tom a chance to grab Bill's gun and hold him hostage too. Meanwhile, Kyle asks for permission to descend but is denied by the jet fighters. Tom and Zach officially take over the plane. Tom explains how security is a scam and states that no one is safe anywhere. They plan to jump out once the plane descends, but Bill convinces Zach that won't be happening since the pilot has been denied permission to land. Bill asks him to disarm the bomb to save himself, but Tom shoots Zach. At that very moment, Kyle goes to make the descent regardless of his orders. Tom still taunts him, but when the plane levels up after getting to 8,000 feet, Bill finally has a chance to eliminate Tom. Meanwhile, Zach is still alive and attacks Bill, but Bill notices that time has run out and quickly moves away, leaving Zach to be blown up along with the bomb. In the distance, we see a runway that Kyle struggles to reach as one of the engines explodes. He manages to dump the excess fuel and brings it down for a rough landing. Becca almost falls off the plane, but Bill and Jen manage to hold her firmly. Finally, the plane comes to a stop and everyone else is safe. Becca returns Bill's ribbon, not needing it anymore, and the movie ends with something developing between Bill and Jen. That was all from the movie. Subscribe for more content like this. And leave a like to help the channel out. Also leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Take care.